Irreverent, entertaining, cool. You're listening to LA Talk Radio.
You're listening to Female Filmmakers Fuse with Alexa Polar and Robin Pabello, only on LA Talk Radio.
Thank you and welcome to Female Filmmakers Fuse. I'm your host, Alexa Polar, with...
Robin Pabello.
Okay, Robin Pabello.
I just walked in. Hello.
Yeah, you did.
I'm never
You just
late,
walked in,
and
well,
nature called.
There you
I had
go.
to go potty.
There we go. Thank you for that. Let's get started. Before we do, I do want to make an announcement, and I'm going through the paperwork now. Robin, why don't you talk a little bit about the elevator pitch while I go through these?
Oh my. Okay.
On the spot. On the spot.
Well, anyways, it's a really nice Sunday. It's kind of hazy. Not the prettiest of clouds, but I'll take them. So elevator pitch. I think I remember what we were doing with that.
Okay.
We have, 6 scripts?
We have 6 scripts that were selected, and I want to make sure these are all, yes. Okay, I'm missing one. Hang on.
So we have 6 scripts that were, I guess, the 6 top contenders. And then from there, we're going to be filming them on the 28th, correct?
Right. That won't go live, though. So we're going to be filming them on the 28th, and then from there...
They're pitching their scripts.
Right, and then the top 6 will then go to public voting. And from public voting, it'll go to...
The top 6 will go public?
Yes, the top 6.
So we're going to film them, then we're going to put them on YouTube on the channel, and then we'll allow the public to vote which one is the top 3. From there, they're going to pitch again. We'll film them, right?
Correct.
And then...
a more formal setting. So it's pretty much like how the industry works. You kind of do a quick pitch of what your idea is, and then you get, if they like your idea, you get invited to a more formal setting of sit-down pitch where you'll pitch your project. And then, so that's basically it. So let me go ahead and do that now. I do apologize for the delay. I wish that I was more on top of this. Okay, so we have Leave Stay by Skylar Barrett. We have, and that's the name of the project, Leave Stay. Then we have Dog Days by Kat Venuti. Robin's just looking at me like...
Well, I'm just waiting for the announcements.
That's
exciting.
This is okay. Matsu Take. And I hope I'm saying that right. Robin, why don't you help me out with that one? Kathy Lynn Yonick?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. It's like, thanks, Robin. The Door Opens by Rafael Hernan Gamboa. I don't know. I apologize if I'm messing up your name. Blush Girl by Beth Goldberg. And then finally... Wide Eyes by Liz, I'm sorry, I'm trying to get your name, Marshall. Thank you. I apologize. Congratulations to the top 6 scripts. We look forward to hearing your pitch and then voting from then on. Anyways, let's get the show going. I do apologize. Let's have, we have a very special guest. Her name is Sarah. Hi, Sarah, are you there?
Hi, I am.
Hi. Sarah, I'm sorry, how do you pronounce your name? Bordo, correct?
Yep, it's Sara Hirsh Bordo. Yep.
Sara Hirsh Bordo. And then
it's a great name.
It is, right? It's a very strong name. I love it. And then you're doing something amazing. Why don't we get into that? You started a company called Women Rising. You're the CEO of the Women Rising, correct?
Yes, I am indeed. And congratulations, ladies, on this podcast and all of your fantastic work. And thank you so much for taking the intention to do it, to champion and support other women storytellers. It's great to meet you.
Oh, thank you.
Likewise.
Thank you.
So, can you give us a little backstory about yourself, just so listeners can get to know you?
Yeah, because you have an amazing, you know, like you've not gone through so much. I'm not saying that because that sounds wrong, but I'm saying like you've accomplished so much, better said. And I think it's amazing what you're doing for other female filmmakers. So why don't let's dive into that.
Well, I think we all go through a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that we're in a sort of a generation where surviving is kind of at the core of all of our mechanism, no matter whether that's been on the personal or professional side. And I have been a filmmaker for about 5 years. I've been a CEO for about 8 years. And then before that, I ran digital media and then digital marketing at Paramount Pictures and MGM Studios for several years. And so my background actually was on the marketing of stories and the, you know, elevation and the positioning of other people's work. Mm-hmm. But I've always been just a passionate mentor. I very, very much believe that the power of women to champion other women is been kind of a authentically missing void for a long time. And I think that as we start to understand more about how we operate emotionally, I think we're getting closer and closer to understanding deeply and organically how we need to be supporting each other. And so I founded Women Rising as a production company and marketing studio. And everything that we do is about championing female storytelling, whether those are original productions, films, features, shorts, whether that is helping guide and work with studio partners and brand partners on how they market and storytell to women and girls. It's just really been my calling for a long time, and Women Rising is the daughter that I chose to have.
That's incredible.
So my work is really an honor. It's not easy, and I know that we all struggle with how to find this really empowering balance of doing work that we need to do to be fed, but also on how do we stay fed functionally by making sure that you know, our work keeps us afloat.
That's amazing. And kudos also on you, because you were nominated twice for the Fortune's Most Powerful Women Entrepreneur, which is featured in which publication? It's us Forbes. Is that Forbes that it's featured on? It's
Fortune, and nominated a couple of times to be a part of this great summit that they did. And I've been really blessed, as you ladies have too.
Thank you.
It's what is it that you're looking for when it comes to your production company? Like how do women get a hold of you, or how do you come across, aside from your website? Because I know that it's a lot of it with what I'm noticing, especially with like what we're doing here, it becomes more of what is it called?
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth. Thank you. I haven't had my coffee this morning. I apologize. So is it the same with you? Do you feel like you started small, sort of, and then it's grown? Or do you feel you approach it differently? Because I know you have a different approach on it, because you know the marketing aspect of it. That's something very new to me. And so that's why I'm seeing how we're growing. And it's amazing, and I love it, because it means that we're able to put more women out there. That's what we want to do. And so I feel like we're doing the same thing, but you're on a grander scale. So I'd love to learn more from you on that aspect.
Well, I think it defines what scale, you know, I think it depends on what you mean by scale. You know, we have a small team. So I live in Austin, Texas. And then the rest of my team is in Los Angeles. And I tend to go back and forth. The projects that we've been involved with, where we've been able to either support, because I also have a nonprofit arm as well called Women Rising Productions. And it really was born out of, and I'm sure a lot of your listeners know this, I mean, when you're raising funds for your film, you know, there are lots of different ways to get those funds, but one of them is through raising donations through a fiscal sponsor. And for us, you know, we had been blessed enough to work with the IDA and the awesome team there and the beautiful team at Women Make Movies out of New York. And what's fantastic about that is that, you know, you're able to use someone else's organization in order to raise those funds. The pickle is that in order for them to stay afloat, you know, they need to charge a certain percentage.
Yeah.
And what I was seeing and what a handful of other female filmmaker friends and colleagues were feeling is maybe there's another way. And so my friends and I actually founded Women Rising Productions. It's a nonprofit that acts as a fiscal sponsor for a small group of filmmakers, female filmmakers, and also up and coming soon to be announced a couple of male filmmakers that are committed to storytelling to champion women and girls. I really wanted everything that we do to have a very, very clear North Star. And what I work on is definitely not all female crew. I believe in unifying men and women for every job that we do, whether that's directing and producing United State of Women Summit, which we did last year at the Shrine, or the Women's March here in Texas, which I did a couple of years ago, or whether it's our features that we're working on right now. I really believe in bringing men and women to the table. That said, I ensure that every job or every production has at least 50% women on crew, and then pay parity across the roles. Because I think that if we're going to ask for it, we have to start enforcing it ourselves. So
I think on all levels, that's what it is. On the last production I worked on, I was fortunate enough to work with a producer and director, and they're both male, and they've been wanting to work with me. So they hired me as a DP. And then from there, I also had the same mentality of having my crew 50-50. And, you know, it was kind of funny because I ended up, I didn't have enough female operators because I ended up having, I had 4 cameras. I wasn't operating. I was at the director's monitor. And so, you know, they were just like, oh, you're not going to operate? And I was like, well, I've got 4 cameras. I would much rather be at the monitor, like kind of making sure everything is lined up really nicely. And ended up having 3 male operators and 1 female operator. And they're like, hey, Robin, it's not 50-50. I was like, I know. I was like, every female operator I know is working. So with that being said, it's kind of amazing at the same time because I'm reaching out to have a 50-50 crew. But unfortunately, at that moment, they were all working, which is fantastic.
I got to give you some context of some other female camera operators that I know that are great. That way you can add to your arsenal as well.
Always.
I'd love to work with them again as well. And that is important. I feel that it is something that we have to push, not just say. You know, actions, right? Actions speak louder than words sometimes. I mean, most times. So it's very important that we, like, aside from supporting each other, we have to really push that and showcase it, live by it. And sometimes I know filmmaking is a struggle. I know it's difficult. And sometimes you just want to do it even when you don't have the funding. And if you're able to get the friends or support to do it, that's great. But for the most part, I don't want to continue in that aspect. It's a business, and we have to treat it as such. And by doing that, I feel we have to treat everyone the same, like pay scale, all that. And it's amazing that you're doing that. a lot of people know this, but like we started this, Robin and I, Female Filmmakers Fuse, we started it, we're going on our 3rd year.
Oh gosh, that's great, you guys.
The nonprofit started late last year. We finally got it approved late last year. It's been mainly out of our pockets.
Yeah, I think the struggle of it is that, is just trying to find a collaborative source of just lifting people up that want to come together because they want to create something that has a meaningful message. But it's also the struggle because, like, I don't know how to, we're doing this, but we're doing it with not a lot of experience.
Exactly.
So I'd love to tap some resources of like, hey, this is how you do this. I mean, for our first festival, it was very tiny and it was still successful. Our second one was expanded to 2 days. I'm not quite sure, what to expect for the 3rd annual, but at the same time, I'd love to have those resources of like, here, this is how you do this, and this. Right,
because what we're failing to mention here is like the first year it was a lot of out of pocket. What's it called? What was put into the festival? Basically, those that entered their films into the festival and the fees
is what
funded it.
Yeah. Well, same with the second one. I mean,
the second one was the same, but it was weird because now that we have the nonprofit, we can now go to sponsor, because we had sponsors that said they were interested, but they needed to see that 501c. We didn't have it as of yet, and even though we had it approved, it wasn't in the system yet. And they didn't send us the letter yet. We just knew it was approved.
So we're still looking for sponsors, which would be lovely. Because I would like to actually team up with somebody that knows how to do this in the right way of the business ethics wise.
Yes.
I don't mind putting money into it because it's a nonprofit, and I have no problem with that. And it's supporting other females, other males that are contributing to supporting females. So we have a nice following of people that, all want to come together for the right reasons, which is lovely. I just also want to not have to worry about whether we're going to be around or not. Like I definitely want to make sure that this will always continue, so that way it's supportive in that nature. And we've had a lot of good connections come through, which is really lovely, because I've heard that these other filmmakers connected at the festival or through social media, or even on the podcast, and they're like, oh yeah, hey, I'm going to connect with this person. And then they end up working with each other, which is like the whole point of this was to like get more people to tap those resources to say, hey, I didn't realize there was this many like gaffers or swings or DPs or ACs or, whatever position that they're in. And that was the whole purpose of it, was just to like keep lifting each one up. And whether it's paid, low budget, or actually like rate paid, then it's great, so.
Right, absolutely.
Well, I have a question for you guys. Are you both LA based, and did you create Female Filmmakers Fuse because what you were looking for you couldn't find, or you noticed that what you wanted to do was in fact in a couple of other places, but collaboration with some of those existing tools didn't seem to feel like the best next step?
It's kind of like a mixture of things. We are LA based per se. I mean, I live in Orange County, but yes, we're LA based. It was not.
Well, Alexa, you created this. I kind of just like jumped on the wagon, but go ahead and tell your.
Well, my thing is as a female, I've struggled in and out of this industry. I write. I started directing. Based out of film school. I didn't think I could direct. I was solely a writer only. That was it at first in the beginning stages of this industry. I did work on some known shows and whatnot, but I didn't get the credit. I just got the pay for some ideas. It was kind of like in a writing team.
You're a staff writer.
Right, basically, but they didn't give us the proper credit. There was a handful of us that didn't get the proper credit, so we can't legally say that I worked on a certain show the way they worked it. It's really interesting. So it was a struggle back and forth. I got some connections, and then I just realized like the difference between how I was treated and a man was treated, and I thought like, well, it shouldn't be that way. And this is like way years before the Me Too. This is like me out of high school going into college that I was going through this. I'm now 42. So then I got into a situation where I got scammed really bad. And then I realized after that, it took me several years to clear things up and to start afresh, start anew. And then that's when I realized, you know, I want to do this so that, one, I can make sure and help out others so that it doesn't happen to them what happened to me. And two,
amazing,
so that I can maybe collaborate with other people and learn from them as well, because you're always learning. In life, we're always learning. It doesn't matter what your age is. It's just a number. We're always, there's always something new that I'm just like, what? I didn't know that, you know, and then I'm just like, I'll use that for the next time, you know, and then I'll pass it on to someone else. And that's what I was hoping to do with this, is just to bring that knowledge. And my overall goal with Female Filmmakers is that in the very near future, I want to be able to have enough funding where we can have grants and scholarships, and then do mentorship is my big thing as well, because I want to have a mentor or have a mentee where I can teach someone the ropes, and not just on a part-time type of thing. Like, it's kind of like they're in my life. You know what I mean? Like, I love seeing that kind of relationship and collaboration, because I saw her work with Robin. She has a mentor that has inspired her so much, and I thought, why don't we have that access to that? It's not an easy thing as what I've noticed.
Well, okay, so yes and no. I mean, I think it just depends. For me, because it's a little bit different. So as a director of photography, you know, non-union wise, I'm always open and willing to chatting with people, and if they have questions, like, I'm actually training 2 different ACs, one male, one female. One I met in Miami, and she moved to LA, and so I kind of took her under my wing and just showing her the ropes, because I'm a union second, and just letting her learn all that kind of stuff. And then the gentleman, he came from lighting, and so he's also a shooter, but wanted to have a little more formal training of AC. So, you know, in that sense, I have mentored. And then I actually did volunteer for a local LA program, a youth program, where I was mentoring high school kids to learn.
But that's my point. There's not a lot of you. And then if there are, they're not aware of that. There are people that are wanting to mentor. So no. I've approached people asking if I could you know, have some tea, have some coffee, let's get together. I just have some questions. I'd like to know, like, learn from your experience and whatnot. A lot of times I get the I don't have time for this.
It's true, though. I mean, there is a lot of times that where, you know, people are working in the industry and, like, their schedules are different. You know, and it is challenging. Like, for example, my mentor, I was very, very lucky. Barbara Stahl, who was an EP over at Sony, she's the one that actually introduced me to Wayne. And he just allowed me to be there, and also allowed me to observe the way he worked with his team. I became very close with, you know, his gaffer and his key grip, and then his operators. I started to learn and get familiar with them a little bit more, and then just watching it, and then being able to light the sets, like the swing away sets. I mean, I learned so much. And obviously, if you guys know a little bit of my history, like, I love lighting. So, like, I became an electrician, and then a best boy lady, and then a gaffer, and then came into, you know, finally was like, hey, you really need to go into camera. And I was like, darn it. Like, but I really love lighting. But he told me, he's like, you have to have those arms and legs and to be able to do that. So he actually did give me a lot of time. And I was, you know, and I just recently talked to him last week, and he was just like, come on, I have a new pilot I'm going to be shooting. And I was like, I'd love to. So I think it just depends on who it is and where they are, and depending on, you know, how busy they are.
So what are your thoughts on that, Sarah? Do you mentor?
Yeah.
Are you doing the same type of thing, or?
I'm really just, what I think is exciting and what I'm watching right now is whether it's, you know, your group, whether it's Glass Ceiling, whether it is, you know, Athena Film Festival out of New York. There's a women's film festival that just is taking place this weekend here in Austin. There's another Girls Impact the World Film Festival next weekend. And I think what here, and I think I'm just really excited when we are able to collaborate. I think that one of the things that I'm noticing right now and this moment in time is the more that women can collaborate with each other to either push narrative down the line, to push intention down the line, to push impact down the line, versus starting from scratch each time. I think that it helps us. You know, I founded Women Rising, you know, now almost 10 years ago, and I've been doing it full time as a production company about 5.5 years ago. And for me, I think that the power comes when we collaborate, when we bring people onto the advisory board, when there's a lot of cross-pollination, when sometimes even we could explore, you know, joint ventures versus, you know, sort of seeing each other as, quote, competitive, right? Because we're all ending up raising cash, raising donations, raising advisory boardship. And what I think is the most powerful moment, which I have noticed depending upon how women work and men work, you know, men operate as a pack. You know, it's always that they are looking to work on every show together, or, you know, work on every venture raised together. And with us, we're still getting our footing as executives and contributors and creators on our own. And what I think that we maybe tend to do a little bit more is, you know, almost try to stake our ground a little bit more than maybe we need to, because I think that if you know, we get into this area for a couple things. We're either here to impact, or we're here because we need, you know, in this work because we need to be, let's say, fed in some way, either with awards or all that kind of ego-based intention, or we're you know, really about a calling and about purpose. And for me, I'm very drawn to other people that genuinely are doing this because they have a goal end in mind and they want to contribute something why they're here. Yeah. And for me, I'm, to answer Alexa, the question that I ask you all is that I'm very moved when we notice the opportunities where collaboration can be had rather than not.
Yeah, I have noticed that it's changed slightly, which is good. Because when I was an electrician, I was pretty much the only lady on set. Right. And then plus my name is Robin, so it's like it could be a boy's name as well. So that I'd show up. You never met me, but I'm 5'1" and I weigh like a $125. So I'm tiny. So they're just like, sweetie, you're in the wrong place. I'm like, I'm the best boy. So it's kind of funny. But yeah, no, I have noticed a change and a shift, which is lovely, of other people wanting to bring other people on. Like I was at a rental house 2 days ago, and there was just one other AC that was there, and I was like, oh cool, I'm gonna go get her number. Don't know her, don't know what her deal is, and just introduce myself. And I was like, hi, I'm Robin, just wanted to say hello, and are you union, non-union, and what are you working on? And so we just had a little chat, and I was like, well, let's exchange information, because I'm always looking to collaborate with other females to, like, I don't know many other female firsts that are, in the industry, so I'd love to know more. And she's like, oh my God, that's great. And so I kind of was telling her about this and how, we collaborate and try to, like, spread the word that there are other people, we just don't know each other yet. That's right. We just don't know each other yet, and we need that. That's right. To facilitate. And I'm not a shy person when it comes to approaching people. Like, I will talk to anybody on the street. I have no problem with it whatsoever. So I'm kind of like that. Hey, I'm gonna say hello, and if it doesn't work out, then it's like I just said hello to somebody, and hopefully that's all it is.
And I'm the opposite. I'm very introvert. I'm very shy. And it takes a while for me, not a long while, but it takes me a minute for me to open up. So I'm that person, like if there's a network event, true story, I'm the one that's in the corner while everyone else is networking until I finally either by chance warm up to someone, and all of a sudden that's when it gets to talking. So it's really weird how it works. And I notice that there's other people like me, and there's other people like me in this industry that are the same way. And I don't know how we go as far as we do. And I think doing this podcast helps me open up more and then meet people because I'm forced to. But if it wasn't for this, I would just be sitting in a corner and observing. I'm that person that just observes, and that's it, until either someone, which usually would be Robin, would introduce me to someone and force me into that
I'm like
conversation.
the hostess. I'm like an unwanted hostess that's like, hey, here's this person. They do this. You should talk to them.
That's true story. That's what she does.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only way you can connect. I mean, it's not that and I think the hardest part for me is like, I don't mind like making the connections. It's the hardest part for me in the struggle in this industry is to ask for a job. That's the one thing like I actually don't do for myself. But I will connect the heck out of everybody. Like I am a hub of everybody. I had like somebody tagged me on Facebook like, hey Robin, you know some good people, and I'm like, absolutely, here's this person. It's like,
wow.
It was not even it wasn't even for my department. I think it was for like production designer or something.
That's funny. No, and it's interesting because I remember when I was first starting this, I was reading how other people were getting so upset because they were struggling into film festivals and whatnot. And so someone said, start your own. And then I was told the same thing. And I was like, I wasn't really struggling though with getting my films in film festivals, but it was just like everyone kept telling me to start my own film festival. And I was like, yeah, I should. Because then that way I can give other people the opportunity. And I get people ask me sometimes, like, do you have your own projects in the film festival? I'm like, no, because legally I'm not allowed to do. Like, I go through the logistics of it because it wouldn't be fair for me to automatically include my film in my film festival. It just sounds corny to me personally. So I can't do that. I try to collaborate with other people, meet other people, and use it that way. Where maybe then I can do my project.
Is there a protocol? Is there a protocol for that?
There usually is. If it's a contest, legally...
not a contest.
Well, the film festival is a contest. It is.
But they have showings that are like some of their sponsors.
I'm sure I can showcase a film of mine. That's not a problem. And but I would have to disclose that information that, especially if people are voting and whatnot.
It wouldn't be considered on the ballot, though.
Right. But I'm just saying, like, wouldn't that be correct, Sarah? Like, do you feel that's correct?
I do. I think it's probably a conflict.
Yes.
Maybe if it's a showcase, that's one thing, but if it's in competition, probably not.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about competition. I'm talking about a showcase because I've seen that in other film festivals.
Sure.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure I've seen a bunch of them and like big showcase.
Yeah,
like it's like the main event.
I wouldn't mind showcasing something that I have to showcase. That's fine. But when I didn't do the film festival to showcase my work. Actually, the first year we actually had someone else's name as part of the Female Filmmakers Fuse because I didn't want to, and it wasn't because I didn't want to showcase. I didn't want to even showcase my name, if that makes sense. I wanted to be anonymous as I could, but then I realized that wasn't the best way to go about it. If that, I don't know. I just.
Well, I think it just depends what your intention is. I think if it's about the organization versus you as a creator.
Exactly. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. It was, I wanted to not
the focus.
Make it about me. Exactly.
You're struggling with the words of you wanted to focus on
the organization.
Right. And the whole reason behind it was to like be collaborative, to like introduce these different filmmakers.
Absolutely.
Which from the second festival, we had filmmakers connect multiple. I think like 6 or 7 of us got together and we created a PSA. So I mean that was the whole point, and then it's been continuous since. And I actually ended up connecting with other people, other directors and whatnot, and they were just like, oh yeah, we should work together. I'm like, yeah, that'd be nice. I mean Why not? I mean, that's the beauty of it, is just getting more people out. And so,
I want to. It's not easy. I know that there's a different way. I just haven't learned it yet. Where for me to pitch my scripts or whatnot, since I still do that. So I don't use this platform for that. It's a whole separate beast and a whole separate life, if that makes any sense. I don't want to mix it because it doesn't mix.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Because it's just like, yeah.
Yeah, it absolutely does. I think that, you've got two priorities, one as a creator and one as a facilitator. Mm-hmm. And keeping those clear and focused is, I think, probably the way they'll be, most powerful, at least for now.
And that's what you've done.
I have. I've definitely tried to do my best to do that. Right now, let's say, I'm working on fundraising to finish my current project. Nice. And so because of that focus, it definitely has to take my priority. So I'm not able to, help bring up or, spend the time that I might like to championing other female filmmakers right now, or other people wanting to tell stories of women and girls. I've found that, setting realistic boundaries for myself, at least in these pockets of time that require kind of taking on the impossible, mm-hmm. It really, has pushed me to, I guess, make some choices that allow for it to be okay that I'm all in on my own stuff right now.
Oh, absolutely.
That allows me to sort of stay in that pocket and then pop my head out every now and then and know that, let's say we've got some project work that I contribute to here and there, but as far as me being, a mentor for others, it's really hard to do that when you're kind of empty from just keeping yourself going.
Right.
So I think that as women, we oftentimes, have this compulsion, and I'm only putting myself in this bucket. I'm the oldest child and oldest grandchild of a big family. And so within that, I naturally find myself like, I don't need to eat right now. Let me, take this call and help a friend of mine because she needs advice. But then I'm in it and I catch myself and, I'm about to faint because I haven't eaten, because I put someone else's needs before my own. And now I've got to go back in the edit because my writer is here and I've got to focus. And it's like when we find ourselves that we oftentimes can spin a little bit out of control because we want to be able to to help fill other people's bucket, but it just doesn't work if if we need it ourselves. And I've kind of learned that the hard way over the last couple of years on this project with my health and my own need for rest and recuperation. It just, when you're in a place of creating as much as we are often, especially when, the buck sort of stops with you, it does take everything you have.
Yeah. What I was going to say is that, with my mentorship, it's not an everyday thing. And that's kind of been the beauty of it, because he knew I was working all the time. So it was kind of like this is my schedule. Whenever you're free, come swing by, call me anytime, email me anytime. So it wasn't like like the traditional mentorship where you spend, like one full project with that person, or, whatever it is. So that might be a really great way, because you're right. Like finding that balance of, doing what you need to get done to fill your creative, but then also being able to help somebody, because it could just be a minor thing. Whether it's like, hey, I'm stuck on this, how would you deal with this? And it's a very simplistic, here's what I would do. Or, them shadowing you for a day when you have like a production meeting, like, here are the real life struggles, because we don't ever see that, and unless we're in the mix of it.
So balance is key. Balance is
trying to find it. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the hardest things to do in this industry, because you never know where your job is going to come from usually,
So what are you working on right now that you're balancing?
Yep. So I'm working on a doc feature called Higher, which began as sort of a tapestry of messages of resilience from the 9/11 kids.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And what was birthed out of that, I met one of the kids, who is this incredible, now 20-year-old young woman named Delaney. And she was in my second project, which was about sexual assault on college campuses. And she was the survivor that I interviewed for it. And I am a survivor myself from my late 20s, and Delaney's assault was in high school. And we really connected, as you both probably know, when you're spending time with someone on camera or any time for that matter, that you're able to connect with someone who's walked your walk or you've walked theirs. Yeah. Really opens up a really powerful sense of connectivity and kind of belonging to each other in that way. And shortly after that interview for my film, she shared with me that she was a child of 9/11 and that she had lost her father and both uncles. They were all executives at Cantor Fitzgerald. Wow. And she told me that she never really grew up in that community, but she was always curious because she never really felt that she belonged to them or belonged to the title of 9/11 kid. And so we started talking. I was really, really moved by, I'm moved by any woman who is looking to connect with her own authentic voice, and being able to film that in real time as it's born is a rare opportunity. And for me, I saw something very special, and Delaney she happened to receive a call about a month after we met. And she and her mom and grandfather were invited to deliver the victim statement at Guantanamo Bay against the 5 terrorists being held. And she called me and she said, I don't know, how I feel about this, and how am I supposed to speak on behalf of these other kids? And I said, well, now, this is the starting point for a journey like this. Yeah. So we started filming, and one thing led to another, ladies. And in 2 years, the Manchester Arena attack took place while we were filming. The Las Vegas concert shooting took place while we were filming, and Parkland. And so what was born was this group of kids. We've now filmed over 70 9/11 kids. Yeah. And this community of 9/11 beautiful, resilient survivors started to reach out because of Delaney and because of our film to communities around the world who had experienced loss and trauma, and really finding their footing and resilience on the other side. So this past summer, we brought to New York to meet with the 9/11 kids, surviving loved ones from Manchester, Sandy Hook, Las Vegas, Orlando, and Parkland. And so our film, I'm got about $150,000 left to raise to finish the feature, and then likely we will release interviews of all of the kids and survivors as a really beautiful homage to hope and resilience on the other side of loss for the 20th anniversary of 9/11.
Wow.
I have chills. I want to cry right now.
Where could we find it so that we can donate to that, to your
blessings. Thank you. I'm open to donations, impact investors, all of the above. Okay. And the website is wegohigherfilm.com.
WeGoHireFilm.com.
And they can find that on your website as well. Rising
Yes,
Women
indeed.
Rising.
Yeah.
Yes, perfect. So yeah, let's get to that because we're at that time to start closing up the show. Unfortunately, let's get some information. Where can we find you? I got that, and we're gonna post that as well. So where can we find
thank
you?
you.
And then thank you for sharing what where we can find to contribute. And I'm gonna really push for that. How many days do you have left on that?
Oh, blessings. I have about 1 week of pickup to shoot, and then all of post. So I've got a teaser that you'll be able to see on WeGoHireFilm.com, and then we're already starting to have early conversations about distributors, but we're really just, I believe, very rarely does a project come along that tackles something really tough but ends with a really powerful place of reassurance. And Delaney's journey is spectacular and brave, and all of our kids, the 9/11 kids and surviving loved ones from these attacks around the world, I think that what we're seeing is a global community being born, and really the power of belonging and what that can do in a dark time.
Well, thank you for sharing that, because it's important now more so than ever, and I think it's something that we need, and I'd hope that there's no more attacks as such, but we never know, unfortunately, with the times of how things are going. But it's great to know and utilize, because sometimes we use that form of entertainment to cope, and learn from it, and it's important. Documentaries are important, and especially when you're telling a story as such.
Well, I'm grateful for that support, and just grateful for any donations or introductions to anyone that might be a good fit to help me bring this home. And we're really
have you guys reached
really
out,
proud.
Have you reached out to is his name Pete Davison?
We did actually at the beginning of the project, and he didn't feel it was a fit for him.
Okay.
But we're holding out hope that once he sees things, he might come around.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, it's very powerful.
It is.
It's very, very moving.
Yeah.
Thank you. Please watch the teaser
absolutely.
and let me know what you think.
No, we will. And once again, the website.
Yep, the website, thank you, is WeGoHire, HIGHER, film.com.
Perfect. Thank you for
Fantastic.
that. And Sarah, thank you so much for being a special guest here. And when you're in LA, let us know so that we can have you physically in the show here. It's really great to and meet you, just to meet you in person.
Collaborate.
Yeah, absolutely. But thank you so much for your insight, for the talk, and for your support. And we want to support you back. So we're going to see what we can do to help out and spread the word for your project.
So grateful. Congratulations on the work. And, please keep going. We need you.
Thank you.
Likewise.
Likewise, exactly. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Have a blessed and beautiful Sunday.
You're listening to Female Filmmakers Fuse with Alexa Polar and Robin Pabello, only on LA Talk Radio.